So, I'd like to tell you about a comic by Matthew Inman, more commonly known online as The Oatmeal. Some of you may be familiar with his work involving Mantis Shrimp, Exploding Kittens, or Nikola Tesla, but I want to focus on his comic, How to Be Perfectly Unhappy. There's some wonderful illustrations that accompany this comic, but I encourage you to look at it once I'm done. Here's an abridged version of How to Be Perfectly Unhappy by The Oatmeal. I am not a happy person. When I tell people this, they infer that I am unhappy. They assume my status is binary. Either I'm a joyous triumph or I'm a miserable wretch. They recognize no spectrum, only two states of being, happy and unhappy. But I've never felt happy. I've felt joy, I've felt bliss, but those feelings are ephemeral. Being happy implies permanence. It implies you completed all the prerequisites, and now you get to sit atop your giant pile of happy forever. It implies you won, you beat the end boss, you made it. The problem with happy is a lot like the problem with Pluto. Several years ago, Pluto lost its designation as a planet, which caused a lot of uproar. But Pluto itself was never the problem. It's our definition of planet that was the problem. Pluto is no longer a planet because our definition of planet wasn't very good. I'm not happy because our definition of happy isn't very good. It's a monochromatic word used to describe a rich, painful spectrum of human feeling. Maybe I'm just built differently. Maybe I was born anxious and angry, and this is how I find peace with the universe. Maybe I truly am miserable, and everyone else is feeling something I'm not. Or maybe they're all full of shit. It's irrelevant. Because I'm not happy, and I don't pretend to be. Instead, I'm busy, I'm interested, I'm fascinated. So now I want you to think of something that you do, something you're a part of that doesn't make you happy in the traditional sense. Matt gives a few examples in the comic. He talks about running long distances, which I can relate to on cross country, as well as reading and drawing. Just take a minute and think of your not happy activity. Why do you do it? What do you get out of it? For me, it's music. I've played piano for 2/3 of my life and percussion for half of it. For the last 5 years, I've spent a good part of every Sunday in upwards of 5 hours of orchestra rehearsals. If I were to say that this made me happy, that would seem to say I spend the whole time smiling or feeling good, whatever that means. I struggle on difficult passages. I miss entrances or lose count and get frustrated. We stop playing 2 beats before I come in and go back and work on a section where I have an exceptionally dull part. Despite all that, I still think the time I put in is worthwhile. It doesn't always make me happy, but it's meaningful. We're accomplishing things. Saying I find it meaningful is much more accurate than saying it makes me happy. By that, I don't mean that it's about the journey or that it's about the destination, but rather it's about accomplishment. It's about productivity. I don't practice because I enjoy repeating a part, breaking it down, and working it out. I practice because it creates improvement. I play in an orchestra so that when we play, I can think, I was a part of that. That happened, in part, because of me. A few years ago, I was offered the chance to play Mahler's First Symphony. This meant an extra few hours of rehearsal each week, learning a challenging new part, and ultimately making some scheduling compromises that caused me a good deal of stress, and led to my Common App essay. As we went off stage after the concert, yes, we were all happy, but the happiness came from accomplishment, from the meaning of what we had just done. I don't think we were all smiling because of the applause. I think it was because we all knew we had spent months on this piece and we had played it well. That work had meaning, and reflection on that meaning led to happiness. I don't see a change in our vocabulary coming anytime soon. I'm feeling meaningful, thanks. Doesn't have quite the same ring as I'm feeling great. But focusing less on a black and white term like happiness might be a good place to start. Before I finish, I want to thank a few people. First, my parents for, well, everything they do, but especially putting up with my busy and ever-changing schedule. And I want to thank my brother, Dan, for putting up with me, really, as well as being the best brother I could ask for. Thanks, Dan. And I want to thank all of you for giving me a wonderful high school experience. So to conclude, here's the end of The Oatmeal's comic. I'm not unhappy. I'm just busy. I'm interested. And that's okay. Thank you.